I'm Mike Rogers. This is the Mike Rogers Show. Today, we have a super special guest. You've heard of Iggy Pop. You've heard of David Bowie. Well, this guy made it all happen, marking 45 years since the release of the all-time classic Lust for Life album. Esteemed former Iggy Pop and Tin Machine bass player Tony Foxales sets out on a rare UK tour next spring, in his first in the UK since 1991. Ladies and gentlemen, won't you welcome with me rock star Tony Foxales? Yay!
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks so much for being here with us today.
Pleasure. It's a pleasure.
So, can you introduce yourself for us? Tell us, besides my intro, my canned intro.
Well, my name is Tony Foxales. I've been I guess a professional musician for about 60 years.
Wow.
The first band that I had, I was 12 years old, professional group called Tony and the Tigers. And I did concerts. I opened for the original Animals at Steel Pier in Atlantic City one time.
Really?
And, yeah, Steel Pier is this. It's a pier that has a building on it. It looks like an airplane hangar. It juts out over the ocean, and I probably, when they had that big storm there, they lost it. But they had a horse that would jump from a platform 40 feet up into a pool. And I shared the dressing room with the horse. That was my introduction to the entertainment business.
Yes. Did the horse have a bigger closet than you, or?
No, he didn't, but he didn't play bass as well. And so that was my first gig, one of my first gigs with the band that I had. It's called Tony and the Tigers. And that was 1965.
Wow.
65, 66. And I'm 130 years old. And so my brother Hunt, who's the drummer, actually he's the drummer on Lust for Life. He has that iconic beat that he opens Lust for Life track with. We've been playing together since we were children, 9 and 11, and we're self-taught musicians. And we lived in New York City, and we a friend of ours was a clothier when the English invasion started. I had all the velvet pants and all that stuff from Carnaby Street in London, and he was selling it in New York. So anyway, he was a friend of mine, and he said, "Listen, there's a guitar player, a friend of mine, I'd like you to meet, who's going to be playing tonight at a club called Steve Paul's Theme." Steve Paul was this manager in New York who managed the Dolls and James Johansson and Van Morrison, I believe, at some point. I said, "Who's the guitar player?" He says, "Todd Rundgren." And I said, "Well, okay, what time should I come down? Like, what, 8 or 9 o'clock?" I said, "No." He said, "He's going to go on at 2:30 in the morning." So I went down. I was like 15 years old. So I did not go to school. And my brother was like 14. I was 16 and my brother was 14. So we did school and went out that night at 2:30 in the morning, and I went to this club and met Todd Rundgren and got up on a real low stage in the room. And it was really a wild evening. What was special about it actually was that the audience, I couldn't believe this. It was Jimi Hendrix, a couple of the guys from Led Zeppelin, Van Morrison, and who else was there? Van Morrison and maybe I actually forget who else was there, but just those guys alone. I thought, how did I get here? And so we started playing with Todd, and it sounded great. And so we went our separate ways that morning. And Hunt, my brother Hunt, and I moved back to Los Angeles from New York And about a month later, I got a phone call from Todd. He said, listen, I'm coming out to Los Angeles to record my first solo album. Would you and Hunt like to do the album with me? I said, that sounds wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in. So he came out and we recorded the Runt album, which was his first solo album.
Yes.
And we were on the hit We Gotta Get You a Woman, which was a big hit in the States. I don't know if it was in Japan or not. But
yeah, Todd Rundgren is huge in Japan.
Yeah, I mean, and I also started Utopia with him before it became the Todd Rundgren Utopia. It was just Utopia with Todd and myself and a French keyboard player named Jean-Yves Labat and my brother on drums, and a keyboard player named Dave Mason, not the English Dave Mason, but an American Dave Mason. But we worked with Todd. We did 3 albums with Todd: the Run album, the Something Anything, and the Ballad of Todd Rundgren. And then started the Utopia project with him, but that didn't go very far at that time. And so we returned back to California, or to New York, and was paying, living in New York for a while. And so then we came out to Los Angeles, and we're living out in Los Angeles. And I ran into a guy named James Williamson, who had played guitar with the Stooges, with Iggy.
Yeah.
And he and I became friends, and we're close. We used to go out and drink together and run around. And so one night he said to me, Iggy is going to go to Berlin to work with David Bowie. And I said, gee, I hadn't heard that. That's fantastic. It's marvelous, And he said, yeah, it's, and he said, James actually produced the Kill City album that Iggy did. I think they did it at Jimmy Webb's house. But he said, I gave Iggy the album to play for Bowie, And he said he played it for Bowie, and he said, who are those 2 black guys singing background? He said, that's not black guys, that's the Sales Brothers. And he said, yeah, well, let's get them over here. Let's do something with them, They play bass and drums, right? He said, yeah. He said, yeah, let's get them over. So we got a call from David's office. They said, we want you to come to Berlin, and if you guys like to do a project with he and Iggy. And we said, sure, count us in, So we got over there, and this was the 1977, early 77, I guess. And we started recording at Hansa by the Berlin Wall, which is a famous studio that David recorded a lot of his stuff there. U2 recorded there, a number of other bands, but it was there in Berlin. And it was incredible. I mean, it was like across the hall is a pub, and then outside was the Berlin Wall. And you could see places where people had been shot trying to get through the wall. And it was a whole different time in 1977. They had guards on the tower with machine guns, the whole thing, And,
wow.
It was a bit nihilistic, to say the least.
So Tony, you and your brother. Well, first off, do you fight with your brother ever? I was in a band with my brother, and we fought all the time. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I think that goes. If you have a brother, that's par for the course. You got to fight. I mean, I don't fight with anybody. Well, I guess I fight with my girlfriend, but I fight with my brother. And I suppose I must have fought with my other wives. That's why I'm not married any longer.
Yeah.
But
so you were
brother, huh?
You were in Berlin in 1977. So you missed like the punk thing that was happening in London, or did you know about?
No. This was actually in Berlin in 1977. It was right before the punk thing.
Oh,
right before it, and because while we were there, it was maybe the second time we came over to tour. We did 2 tours with Bowie and Iggy. I think the second time the Sex Pistols were wandering around in the hallway where our rooms were. And I said, who are these guys walking around? And someone said, hey, it's the Sex Pistols, mate. They're really heavy, mate. I said, well, I'm very impressed, but why are they sitting in the hallway outside my room? That's not good. And, it was funny, but I introduced myself to him. And finally, funnily enough, I formed a band with a guy named Michael DeBar, who had been singing, had a band called Detective, and he had sang with Power Station. The band had Steve Jones in playing guitar, who was one of the Pistols.
Yes.
And it was actually Steve Jones and Nigel Harrison on bass, whom I'm working with now. I worked with before with Checkered Past, which is another band I had. And Clem Burke was in that band as well, playing drums.
Well, so, okay, I got some things to tell you. And you're going to think like, how is it that we've never met before? I used to babysit Michael DeBar's son.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Like, how
wow.
When
so
Pamela, yeah,
right?
Pamela came to Japan, and Rodney Bingenheimer called me up, and he says, Mike, you got to pick up this lady, Pamela, at the airport, and she's going to this big music publisher, and she's going to put out a book. It was a big selling book. I was just like, okay,
I'm with the band.
Yeah, but I didn't know that. I did not know that at all, and
that's wild, man.
Yeah, so Rodney just tells me to go pick her up. So I go pick her up at the airport. Yeah. She's riding in the back of my car, and she's talking about everything. And I had just read a magazine called National Lampoon. Of course, you know it, right? And they had a comedy thing, a satire. I'm with the Brass Quartet or something like that. It was just taking the piss out of her and her book and stuff like that. And so she was just talking, and I thought her name was DeBar, Debar. And then for some reason she spelled out her name to me.
Yeah, Desbar.
Yeah, and I thought, oh no, that's Disbar. Oh, wait, I read about you in the National Lampoon. And she was really mad. She said, that's a terrible thing. And I said, no, that's the top of the mountain. You have made it when they can make fun of you and everyone knows who you are. Yeah. That's the top of the mountain. So she would come and go to these music publishers in Japan, and then I would take care of their kid all day. I don't know, for 3 or 4 or 5 days.
That's wild.
All I would do is I would take him to the game center, and he and I would just sit there playing games hours on end.
Isn't that incredible, huh?
Yeah. Wow. And then I've never met him, but I know Clem Burke pretty well, a lot of his friends. So when Tom,
you'll still want to listen to him playing drums. He's a good guy.
So tell us about your relationship with Iggy. Is he a hard guy to work with, a nice guy, or what?
Well, when I've known him for I must have known him for close to 50 years, I guess. The Lust for Life album was just 45 years old. Mm-hmm. And I knew Jimmy Osterberg, Iggy, before that, before we did the album. We were all had some problems with drugs in the past. Mm-hmm.
Not me. No, never.
No, that's good. I haven't had a drink or any drugs in just about 39 years.
Good. That's good. I quit drinking a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good. Good for you. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel a lot better, and I get less tickets. It's really good.
Yeah, and it's nice waking up and not feeling like shit.
Well, yeah, I didn't know I was allergic. I kept breaking out in handcuffs. It wasn't good. So I had to stop that. They found me in my car in June in 1979, dead with a stitcher through my chest.
Oh shoot, that was such interesting talk. You were talking about Iggy.
So I knew Iggy, and it's Los Angeles is a small town with musicians here. We have people, we all know each other here, and there are just a few places to be hanging out. At least there were in 1976, 77.
Mhm.
But so we used to hang out and you know, jam a little bit, and you know, go out to drink together and stuff, party a little bit. But we all had you know, our difficulties at the time. Iggy was Jimmy was ill, and he was having a hard time from addiction. And but subsequently, he's that's not happening, and he got well. Actually, I think David helped him with that.
Yeah, I read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and David was sober as well. David died sober,
Mm-hmm.
and David, I hadn't seen David in about 10 years, I guess, and I ran into him, and he and I talked about getting a band together, and then it became Tin Machine. And
Wow.
yeah, he said, "I got this guitar player I want you to meet. I'm gonna let's call the drummer." I said, "All right, you want me to call the drummer?" And so I called Hunt up, and he said, "Yeah, let's go to Switzerland, because that's where he lived." So we took a plane over to Switzerland, and we met Reeves Cabrels there, and we started recording at the Montreux Mountain Studios in Montreux, Switzerland.
Wow.
And the first thing that we put down was Heavens in Here, and yeah, we wrote and recorded 36 songs in 6 weeks, and there's actually still an album in the can from Tin Machine. There's another album that's at some point could be released.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great.
So how about, okay, what you told me about Iggy Pop, how about David Bowie? Was David Bowie easy to work with, difficult? Or I saw a TV interview with you and
No,
David.
he was very, yeah. I mean, he was a very intelligent guy. Really, you know, he was a lot of fun. He loved telling jokes. He loved messing around, and he was real easy to work with. I mean, we've all got our moods, you know.
Yeah.
And I was brought up in the entertainment business anyway. My father's name is Soupy Sales. He's a real big American comedian.
I
And
loved it. I loved your dad. God, I loved
Yeah.
your dad when I was a kid.
Thank you. Yeah. So, you know, I mean, my best friend was Dino Martin, Dean's son,
Ah,
who, you know, who actually died in a plane crash, in a jet crash. He was a
Yeah.
ROTC pilot. But I mean, I was around showbiz my whole life. And so it was, you know, it's, I'm impressed by somebody as a person. It doesn't matter what they do or what they have. You know, I look for substance in things in my life. But David was a very intelligent guy, and I mean, you know, I was so impressed working with him. I mean, I was a fan of his before I even met him.
Mhm.
You know, and but I was still a fan of his even after I met him. So it was okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, so okay, so you're going to tour the UK and you're going to tour Japan.
We're going to come over to Japan. We're going to go to UK for a couple of days to just rehearse, I guess, just for a couple of days. I mean, you know, we've never all been together in the same room yet.
Oh,
So I'm going to go over and meet the guys that I don't know, and men and women in the band, and we'll rehearse for a couple of days. Then we'll come over to Japan and do 2 shows in Tokyo and 2 shows in Osaka. And
has it been announced in Japan yet?
I'm not sure. I
Oh.
think.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. Tom
Yeah.
Wilcox.
Yeah, Tom told me not to say anything yet because it hasn't been announced, and I've been looking on the
So are we announcing it now? Is that what it is?
No, I don't want
this
Tom to get mad at me.
is live on tape, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
All right. So then we go back to England and do 12 shows in England. I'm gonna play the Cavern, actually, one of the shows.
Wow.
Yeah, which I've never been to the Cavern before, but it's not the same Cavern. And I think it was actually a cavern when the Beatles played there.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's the Cavern now, but it's in the same location. which is thrilling enough, you know.
Mm.
And yeah, we're going to do that. And then we're going to play, I guess, Scotland as well. Dublin.
Wow.
Ireland, we play Dublin.
That's going to be so fun. So wait, so you haven't met your band yet? You haven't?
No, I know Kevin Armstrong's the guitar player. And he played with Tin Machine. He did a tour with Tin Machine once. He played with, he was Iggy's band leader in the 80s. And he played with McCartney. He played with Sinead O'Connor. He's played with a lot of people.
Wow.
And yeah, he's I guess his moniker is musical director for this tour. He brought in Florence Sabeva, who's a keyboard player and arranger and writer, and Clem Burke.
Yeah,
he's doing it, and myself.
But you played in a band with Clem Burke before.
Yeah, it was called Checkered Past.
Yes, I've actually aired that band's songs.
Oh yeah, yeah. But We Are All Underworld. That was one of the songs.
Yeah.
I sure Hank's done it this way. And,
yeah.
World Gone Wild, and yeah, there's some good songs on that album.
Clem seems to be in a lot of bands.
He is a hustler. He's always doing something. I mean, he's traveling. He's always working someplace, you know. As I mean, we finished a session the other night. We did another version of Success that we're gonna do, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going back to New York. I'm doing this, and I'm this, and I'll meet you. I'll see you when you come back over, and we start rehearsal before we go to Japan." And you know, he's always on the run. I mean, I figure moving targets started to hit, you know.
Yeah, I know they toured with Blondie, and I have a friend who knows him and was going to ask him a question, and I keep asking him, have you asked him a question yet? He's like, he's still on tour. No, he's still on tour. Right. I'm like, yeah, who's he touring with? And then I see these little pictures. I can't even tell you the names of the bands. It's like, I've never heard of this band. And there he is playing in the band. He's in London.
He's got a new Blondie album out now, you know.
Yeah. So
he's doing that. And so he almost didn't get to do these shows with us. But he worked it out that he could do it.
Yeah. So you'll be playing at the Billboard in Tokyo.
Billboard Cafe.
Yeah, it's a really nice place.
Is that in Tokyo?
Yes. Oh, it's in the middle of Tokyo.
I look forward to that.
Probably, I don't know, by taxi 10 minutes to Shibuya. So
I like Japan. I really like Japan.
Yeah.
I came the last time when Tin Machine came, we played really all the way up and down Japan. We played Sapporo in the winter, and with the ice festival, and it was so impressive. They had the White House made out of ice there.
Yeah.
And the Lincoln Memorial, and it was great. And but when I came over with Joe Yamanaka to Japan, I went to a lot of places, you know, that tourists don't go to. He took me to a lot of different places.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy it over there. It's beautiful.
I get people asking me all the time, like, you know, Mike, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that? And I'm just like, I don't know, and I kind of don't care. I don't care.
Well, that's one way to do it. You know, that's I think that sounds like Kanye West. But I'm sorry I even brought him up.
So I don't even. I know his name, but I don't know anything about him. I don't have a TV.
Oh, you're lucky.
I haven't watched TV in 25 years. I don't watch the news. I only want to surround myself by music, and that's what I really like. So Tony.
Yes.
Can you tell me about like your childhood? I mean, you said that you and your brother were both self-taught musicians.
Well, we are. We grew up in Detroit, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And my father, Soupy Sales, had a show in Detroit called the Soupy Sales Show.
Yeah.
And we grew up there, and it was, you know, we had a good childhood there. I mean, he was working always. He was doing 3 shows a day. He was doing a lunch show for the kids. Then he would do a show in the afternoon or in the evening, and then at night he did a jazz show, which was wild. He was he was a DJ to begin with, and then when we lived in Cincinnati, then we went to Cleveland, and then he got offered a show to begin a show in New York. So I'm sorry. First we did Detroit, then we went to Detroit, Michigan, and he started his television show there, which became a big hit right away. And then we went from Detroit to California, and then to New York. And he was doing the shows in all those places. And subsequently, my brother and I grew up in a lot of different settings, a lot of different places. And so we met a lot of people, and it was a lot. When you're a young guy, it's a lot with moving around that much and different schools.
But how did you start playing, I mean, when you were a really little kid? Well, okay, what was the first record you ever bought, Tony? And this is going to be embarrassing.
I remember I used to listen to the radio, and there would be the doo-wop bands on, like the Jive 5 and Curtis Mayfield, and I mean some other people in the 60s and early 60s and or late 50s, I guess. I always thought I want to be a singer, and so I was really turned on by vocalists, and I loved rhythm and blues. I loved jazz when I was a kid, and but then I think the first Louis Jordan was the first rock record I think that actually happened. Louis Jordan, and I heard that
Saturday Night Fish Fry.
What?
Saturday.
Well, it was there ain't nobody here but us chickens.
Oh, ain't nobody here but us chickens.
Yeah. Nobody here at all. That was the first. Somebody up there likes me or something. I think that's the name of it. That was the first rock record that a lot of people don't know about.
Well, I think that was rock music too.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
absolutely. It was before all the other stuff. Right before. Like it was 1948 or 49, I think.
Yeah,
and so I mean, I was born just after that. I was born in 1951, but I heard that stuff first. And it really turned me on. I love the rhythm. I love the vocals. I love the guitars, and drums. And then later, when I was around 11 or something, that's when I first saw the Rolling Stones and the Beatles. And the English invasion came over to the United States, and that completely made me go crazy. I thought I want to, I got to learn how to play guitar. So my brother and I looked at each other and said, well, I guess we're going to learn how to play guitar and the drums. We got to do it ourselves, So we did it. And,
so did your dad buy you a guitar?
My dad got me he got me an electric Gretsch guitar.
Wow.
Actually, the first guitar I had was an acoustic, just a plain acoustic guitar that I learned. I had a couple of lessons on that, and I had a propensity, so I kept going. And when I got to the point where I could play some songs, he bought me an electric guitar, a Gretsch, a small Gretsch, and I loved it. It was great. I'd used it with the bands that when I was a kid, and I guess my parents got Hunt instead of drums, Slingerland drums, I think, and we started playing, and we met a couple other kids and formed Tony and the Tigers.
So,
and
I've talked to,
and we did a record on. We were signed to Roulette Records by Morris Levy.
So Tony, tell us about your Japan show.
17th and 18th, or 18th and 19th. I don't have the dates in front of me here, but It's within those couple of days. Yeah.
And-
It's going to be good. We're going to do pretty much the whole Lust for Life album.
Wow.
Yeah, and some assorted of the songs, some Blondie songs, and maybe a couple of Tin Machine songs. I'm not,
Are you going to be singing, Tony?
I'll be singing. Yeah, Katie's singing lead. I'll be singing backgrounds. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we're going to do. We haven't gotten together yet.
Yeah.
It's all going to come together. It'll be fun. It'll be great.
You can do the I am the passenger. You can do that, right?
Well, yeah, I can do that. Clem and I just did a recording session for the song "Success." We recut "Success." It's on the Lust for Life album, and Clem and I did the rhythm section for it, and we were playing to the track with everybody else playing. So it's going to be good.
I'm going to be there with my wife.
Oh, good.
And my wife hates rock music. She absolutely hates it. But she was trained as a classical pianist.
She obviously has an ear. So.
She did that. So I played for her Lust for Life. And she said, "Oh, well, this is nice." And I said, "No, see, you think rock music is the crap you hear on the radio."
Yeah.
So this is like the kind of music I like. And she said, "Yeah, this is good. These guys can play. These guys are really good." And I
There's
said,
some good songs on Lust for Life. There's some really good songs on that album.
Yeah.
And I think we hold our own pretty well,
Wow.
It's we had a good time doing that album.
Yeah.
It was it's fun. Actually, I think we recorded and mixed that in 3 weeks.
Wow, that's quick.
Yeah. And we were working our tails off. It was really good.
Wow. Okay, so thank you, Tony Fox Sales, for being our guest on our show today.
I want to thank you for asking me, Mike. It was a pleasure to talk to you 4 times.
I'm sorry about the internet thing,
No, that's okay. That's where we live now, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the name of it. That's the name of the tune.
So
I'll come back whenever you'd like.
Well, I'll arrange that with Darren.
Tom. With Darren.
Yeah. I think I wrote a letter to him, called him Daryl once.
Like even those guys, I haven't met them in person. I met them on the phone. Everybody's real small that I've met so far.
Yeah.
I met them on the screen.
So, anyways, thank you so much, Tony. We're going to look forward to seeing you in Tokyo live. Tony,
I appreciate that. Mike. It's been a pleasure talking.
Yeah. So
love that. Everybody come. We're going to have a good time.
Yeah, we're going to have a good time. It's going to be a great time. Thanks so much, Tony.
Okay. Good to meet you, man.